Live from Martinsville, Virginia, we welcome race fans, one and all, to what could be one of the most crucial races in the iRacing Stock Car Association Super Cup Series presented by ButtKicker. Welcome, one and all, to the Goodies 250 at the Martinsville Speedway. My name is Lola Rampo. I've got Brian Britt beside me in the broadcast booth with Rob Meldick down behind the cameras for tonight's presentation. So 250 laps, and coming into this race, only one driver is safe. That driver's name is Justin Levine. Brian Johnson finds himself in a must-win situation, and Kyle Labrie, the bubble driver going into the final round, a no-show for tonight's race, meaning it is all to play for, and Brian Johnson has got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be a kind of a crazy thing here. Brian Johnson is pretty fast, though, so he is capable of winning here. We'll have to see how his long run looks like. Of course, this is going to be a long race. A lot of time for adjustments and things of that sort, so I can't wait. We need to all buckle up, get yourself something to drink, something to eat, be ready for this one.
23 points separate Brian Johnson from Kyle Labrie coming on into this race, and with 23 drivers in the field, that basically confirms that Kyle Labrie could very well find himself out of a championship hunt. But that relies on Brian Johnson having one good race tonight. This is a race where he cannot afford to make any kind of mistakes. He cannot afford to be caught up in anybody else's mistakes. Tonight, for the 4-car, it is no doubt going to be all about just keeping it clean, keeping it on the racetrack. Justin Levine, we talked about him coming into today's race. He is 31 points to the good from just Kyle Labrie, 63 to the good from Brian Johnson. And with just 59 points up for grabs in a race weekend, Justin Levine is safe into that final round. It's just a question of who is going to face off. Will it be a frontline teammate, or will it be the rivals, G&G Racing, who have been challenging frontline all season long, who could be able to mount that charge in the season finale? Boyd Hogan was another name that we thought might be able to make an appearance, but Boyd Hogan, also in a must-win scenario, also a no-show here in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely very interesting that he's not showing up here, and going to really help out some of these other guys for sure, as we know how he is. I mean, if he came in this race, he probably would have tried his best to win it and had every ability to do so. But Noah Bitts is somebody who's been really impressing me. I mean, I know not really a playoff driver, but has been fast in practice and is now really fast in qualifying, able to score the pole for right now.
And, of course, this will mean that he could find himself up on pole position. That's a tough time to beat as well. An 18.854. That's the fastest lap we have seen all day long. His second fastest lap set in practice with an 18.905. Only two drivers were able to break into the 18-second range, the other one being Clayton Hoffman. Even Hoffman himself, a 19.020. So Noah Bitts definitely going to be the driver to beat today.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious about the weather conditions out here today.
Well, the weather conditions looking about 90 degrees on the track at the moment and 68 in the air. Winds just off to the south at about 5 miles an hour. And the time, about 4:30 p.m. in sim time. So we will be racing a little bit further into the evening. I do not believe we're going to be finding ourselves racing quite under the lights here today, though. But it will be cooling off, and that could mean the track gets even more competitive as the race goes along.
100%. I think that's when we're going to see these guys trying to keep up with that, this track. I mean, if we have multiple cautions with Martinsville, usually it's one of those types of tracks that kind of brings that. No league, I don't think, can escape that, how Martinsville is. But it's going to give a lot of opportunity for these guys to make adjustments to these race cars, and I think it's going to be very important. A good handling race car is something you need at Martinsville.
Under 1 minute left to go in qualifying. You watch Paul Schmallenberg just taking a couple of extra laps to put some practice down on the boards with his qualifying effort complete. Only good enough for P16 out of 17. 17 drivers have set times so far, as there is 23 drivers in the session. It looks like the bottom 6 or so going to be opting not to take times, and sometimes that is not a bad strategy, Brian. Just willing to kind of, lay back, let everybody take themselves out in front of you.
For sure. There's going to be a lot of that, so just go ahead and be prepared for a parking lot. So I think those guys are kind of prepared for that. It could definitely be a safe thing to do for sure, and especially with the different strategies you take here. Could really help out. With taking tires at different times, you could find yourself in the lead, even if you started in the back.
And qualifying just drawing to a close. So we're going to take a quick step away, and we'll be back with the starting grid for the Goodies 250 in Martinsville in just a moment.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we are back at the Martinsville Speedway. Let's take a rundown through your starting grid here in the Goody's 250 at the Martinsville Speedway. Noah Bitts, the only driver to break into the 18-second bracket, starts on a pole position. Clayton Hoffman starts just beside him on that front row. And Troy Torgerson able to bump Brian Johnson out for third place, along with another playoff contender who is locked in, Justin Levine, beside him on the front row. Chad Sullivan in P5. Brian Johnson finds himself essentially in a must-win scenario tonight, although with Kyle Labrie being a no-show, he could be a serious contender for that final playoff spot in the round of 2 coming into the championship finale in Phoenix in just 1 week's time. Corey Cook starts in 7th place with Wayne Grossi in 8th, and it's Al Kozlowski and Chris Johnson to start out 9th and 10th.
And 11th place is going to be Josh Schaffner. 12th, John Mullins. 13th, Brian Littleton. 14th, Travis Manning. 15th, David Phillips. The second, and 16th here, Paul Smallenberg. 17th, Kenny Powell. 18th, Jeffrey Souza. 19th, Heath Snyder. And rounding out the top 20, Roy Hyde.
And that leaves Randy Drumhill, Matthew McMeekin, and Mark Sanchez to start 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. 18th on back, opted not to set qualifying times. That was a look top to bottom at your ButtKicker starting grid for the Goody's 250 here at the Martinsville Speedway. It is a track that demands endurance. It is a track that demands patience. You wonder, though, how long it will take for some drivers' patience to start to run thin.
And have they just got the command to start the engines? We're set to go racing here. What an event this is going to be. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think we're going to have pretty much everything you need to see here. I mean, long green runs, probably going to have some, some door banging, some short track racing. Got to love every bit of it.
And of course, don't forget, we are running that low downforce. Come off for one of 2 pace laps on the day. It could be crucial navigating a lap traffic as much as trying to battle with guys on your own lap.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, one thing about the guys that are starting in the back, I mean, they're going to find themselves going a lap down fairly quickly. I mean, you're really only as fast as the guy that's right in front of you, to be honest with you. I mean, it's so hard to pass here, and everybody has different braking zones. Everybody has different speed. So if you start back there, you're going to be in a little bit of rough shape, considering you're going to have to wait behind these guys, and that leader is just going to have all kinds of real estate to gain up on you and put you a lap down.
And so the pace car going to lead them now into their final lap of pacing. And, well, we talk about it. These races can be wild. Do you think these first 5 laps, though, could be as insane as the last 5?
I don't know. I think this first 5 is probably going to be more chaotic than the last. But I don't know, though. I don't think anybody's willing to bump anybody away yet. I think the last 5 probably will have that feature there.
Only one way to find out, and that is to stick with us here for the penultimate round in the Iverson Stock Car Association ButtKicker Super Cup Series. The pace car pulls down the pit road, and now Levine.
Fortunate thing, you lose momentum from that, but he has regrouped for sure and has managed to claw back his way on the top.
Angels double eight is going to find himself now up into P number 9. Corey Cook starting to slide back just behind them. Take a look at the battle for 11th and 12th between John Mullins and Brian Littleton, looking to pick on up down to the turn 3.
Yeah, one thing about it, you're going to see this time and time again tonight. Guys on the bottom have the advantage. I mean, you can make some more laps work up there on the top, in that second groove there. But you're definitely going to be burning your tires up, and you're not going to be quite as fast as the tires start to wear. Brian Littleton able to make that pass happen for 12. And it looks like Travis Manning going to be looking underneath too of John Mullins.
Mullins, though, able to pull the top around the asphalt part of the racetrack, knock down on the concrete, carries the momentum around the exit of the racetrack, and he'll be able to retain P13 for the time being. Travis Manning going to be stuck down in 14th place, and that was the first time we've seen this field get single filed out throughout the course of this race, and already your race leaders about half a lap in front of the back markers, which just goes to show just how quickly the field could get spread out over a race like this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I suspect, in the next 15, 20 laps, we're going to see a lot of guys start going laps down, and it's going to be unfortunate for him. But right now, watching Brian Johnson, I'm kind of keeping an eye on him. I know he desperately needs to win this race. He's back in 5th right now, trying to chase down, I do believe, Justin Levine, who's kind of already secured his way in.
You see Brian Johnson deeper down in the order. He is one of those drivers at a very crucial spot tonight, but he has a huge advantage with the fact that Kyle Labrie was a no-show today. He was going to be, a driver that was going to be in a must-win scenario, but now that Labrie is out, if he can get a solid finish up at the top 5, along with taking some good stage points, possibly with a better run. Caution flag flies. Heath Schneider taking a slide on the back straightaway. Did not take long before he got caution number 1. This one caught up by Kenny Powell in the number 8 car. So Frontline and G&G, 2 rival teams already colliding early in this race.
Yeah, it looks like Kenny just got really loose on the bottom there and shot back up the track into the 8. So that is unfortunate to see. Quite a bit of damage on that 8 car. I think going to be in the pits probably getting some of that repaired. I mean, but we've seen cars able to do better with worse here. I mean, look at missing that whole front bumper.
And you will be able to, see here, there was a little bit of a nudge from Schneider, but you can definitely tell Powell just lost that by himself and overcorrected, and both cars went hard into the inside wall. So Schneider with major damage on the front end. The good news is, aerodynamic damage, not as much of a factor. You have to be more worried about your engine output. And you see Kenny Powell having a bit of struggles down there. He is now, with major front end damage and rear end damage, and of course,
not still be the end of your day. I mean, we'll have to see how it works. I mean, a lot of guys are going to end up equalizing themselves as this race goes on.
And you take a look at how this race could play out, and of course, stage is always a big factor in how these races could go. And the stages for tonight are looking to be one at the end of 60, one at the end of lap 125, and that means we will be shy by about 20 laps on the fuel run. It'll be roughly 105 laps, the amount of fuel that you can make it on a 1-lap sprint. This is judged by calculation that you gave us earlier, actually, Brian, with the full tank, it'll make it to 140. And, of course, these guys running these 75% fuel tank limitations for this race as well. So you have all of that taken into a factor as well that could play a big role in how these races play out.
Yeah, very much. I mean, could. I mean, well, definitely, I don't think fuel is ever going to really be too big of a concern out here for these guys, but I definitely think tires are going to be one of the main things these guys are going to really have to budget for sure. It's so easy to use tires here at Martinsville. But one thing we also got to keep in mind too, Nolan, is thinking about guys that maybe try to pit for tires that are further back into this field. If you pit and you're about halfway in the field, you might end up actually going a lap down, considering how short this track is. It is a half-mile racetrack.
And interesting enough, you say something like that, Wayne Grossi already found himself down in pit road. It was a 52-second delta that he was in pit road for, which is a very long time. But that being said, he was only in his box for about 0.3 seconds, which makes you kind of wonder why he was in his box 4. And I think looking back at it now, it looks like he actually stopped a bit short, which is where the 0.3 came from. And he did take a 4-tire stop, so already Wayne Grossi on a fresh set of rubber. And so the pace car are going to pull back down, and we'll have to see how that could play out for him later on in this race. Novitz, your control car, going to take them back to the green flag. This time it's a much earlier launch. He has the ability to do so. Clears before they get to start-finish. Wheel spin this time for Clayton Hoffman, and we are double file once again down into turn number 1. Look out for Kenny Powell, just leaving pit road. He'll go down another lap and let the field through on that outside line before they get to turn 3, and it's a huge accordion effect deeper in the field, and you see Bitts leads the opening lap, and there is the battle at the moment for 6th and 7th between Chris Johnson and Chad Sullivan. Just up front, Brian Johnson overtaking Justin Levine.
Now, I'm telling you, he knows he's in desperation mode. Brian Johnson has to do everything he can here, and he's definitely putting it to Justin Levine. Able to get clear here, moving up the rankings, up to 4th now. And Chris Johnson right behind there fighting with Chad Sullivan.
Oh, and Kozlowski gets into it with Corey Cook, and the 61 car gets bustled up the hill, but they managed to stick with it. Kozlowski still holds the inside line into 3 and 4. Contact, always an inevitability here at Martinsville, and looks like Corey Cook will be able to pull around the outside line, but that's not going to stop Al from throwing one back down on the low side into turn number 1. But the 61 car, look at the speed he can carry on corner exit, gets clear again, but that's, again, not going to stop Al from throwing the send.
Yeah, Al Kozlowski looking very fast right now. Can he make it past him, though? I mean, it's just, think about it, though. Corey Cook, I think he's using them tires up there doing that. Now he finally does come down in front of Al, so maybe he'll start running the bottom again. Oh, we got a spinner, Travis Manning.
all by himself. Travis Manning goes around, and I think might have just kept that out of the inside wall. A good save then for Travis Manning. Take another look at this one here. Out of turn 2, and sure enough, all by himself on the throttle. Attitude just kisses the inside wall.
Yeah, that damage there probably not going to be very big in the grand scheme of things. I mean, that was a low-speed hit there. I bet Kenny Powell and company would have probably wished for an accident like that. As you can even barely see the damage here. But one thing about it with this racetrack, we're going to see a lot of guys with damage out here. I don't think you're going to finish this race without having some piece on your car not being like it was when you unloaded this car.
There's a common saying in Martinsville is that no car enters Martinsville and leaves the same way. And if that's not the case, and if you end up leaving with a clean race car, you haven't been racing the track properly. And that might be a statement that a lot of drivers kind of take to heart over the course of the day. And a developing situation out of the racetrack as well here, Brian. There was of course that major update from iRacing earlier on today, and that means that, of course, we were not able to set this race session up in the usual way. So instead of having a tire limit, as we usually do, which would be about 4 or 5 sets, depending on the track, unlimited tire sets for this race. How much do you think that would open up the strategy?
Are you serious? I mean, wow.
I'm dead serious. That's what I just heard from Race Control themselves.
That is crazy. Well, I was talking about budgeting tires. Now that's not going to be a concern.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you could theoretically take what some leagues try to do when it's just, kind of use an honor system, but let's be honest. When has that ever worked?
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be guys that are going to, they're going to say, oh, I accidentally did it.
Well, that explains why Wayne Grossi came down to lap 8 to get a fresh set of tires for himself. I was thinking why you'd want to do that. Yeah, I was going to say, I would question why you'd want to make a set of tire stop 8 laps in under caution. I mean, I don't know it's under caution, but all the same, you're 8 laps in a 250-lap race and a half mile, and that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these guys are going to be pitting more often now.
You see Kenny Powell getting the lucky dog free pass around the outside line. He lost that lap while fixing damage on the opening. Actually, was on the restart when he came off of pit road. Had to slow up to let the field through because they were going to pass him up on the restart. So Powell able to take 1 lap back. Heath Schneider still finds himself 5 down and in pit road, and he'll no doubt continue to drop back a little bit more. It looks like Heath Schneider might just be out of this race. Alrighty, though, we are a third of the way, just over through stage number 1, and it just goes to show that even under caution, time can fly at a race like this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a short track. Even though, we're under caution, time still flies as we get prepared to go back green here. Pace car lights are out. And really, all eyes are pretty much going to be on Brian Johnson here, I think, considering he is in 3rd right now on the inside row. Pretty good position to be in. He has been working his way through this field. Can he get past Clayton Hoffman? That's going to be the question.
Heath Schneider now leaving pit road. He is 6 laps down at the moment, I believe. I have to see what he'll be able to make throughout the course of this race. Noah Bitts going to be leading them back around to the green flag through 3 and 4. Expect the early launch. It's a popular move. Gets you clear before turn 1, which is obviously what you want to see. And how about that? Clayton Hoffman caught napping on the restart.